Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the last Arvada City Council meeting for the year of 2025. Today is Tuesday, December 16th. I will call upon Mayor Pro Tem Moorman for the pledge and a moment of silence.
Good evening. Please join me in a moment of silence. Now please stand if you are able and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Rush, if you'll do the roll call, please.
Mayor Simpson?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Moorman?
Here.
Councilmember Ambrose?
Here.
Councilmember Davis?
Here.
Councilmember Pfeiffer? Councilmember Griffith?
Here.
Councilmember Levison?
Here. Councilmember Davis.
I move that we excuse Councilmember Pfeiffer from tonight's meeting.
Yes. Thank you very much. For the public's awareness, Councilmember Pfeiffer is attending Office of Emergency Management events for tonight's potential windstorm. All votes are cast. That passes 6-0. Thank you very much. Councilmember Pfeiffer is an excused absence. Next, we have the approval of minutes for November 18th, 2025, as well as December 2nd, 2025. Are there any edits or corrections to the record? Seeing none, those stand approved. Finally, we have a recognitions and communications for our own council member, Michael P. Griffith, for his service on the Planning Commission service. Councilmember Ambrose, I believe you have this item.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I'll invite Mr. Griffith, or Councilmember Griffith, down to the podium for some comments on accepting this award. But I am pleased that we are recognizing Michael P. Griffith for his years of service to the Arvada Planning Commission, which serves as an advisory body to the City Council. The commission reviews annexations, rezonings, subdivisions, planned unit developments, and formulates a long-range comprehensive plan. Individuals on this commission play a key role in the development of the City of Arvada. Councilmember Griffith served on the Planning Commission for 8 years, from April 2017 to November 2025, when he was elected to the City Council. During his tenure, he reviewed over 300 cases of developments. The following are some of the more notable cases: Candelas Commercial, Morgan at Ralston Creek, multiple fire police stations, Apex Fieldhouse, Hilton Garden Inn, and Land Development Code rewrite in 2020. For the past 4 years, Councilmember Griffith has served as the Commission Chair. He showed leadership and passion for the Commission and for the community. His contribution to the community is significant, and we thank him for the many years of dedication to the City of Arvada. And now, if you'd like to make some remarks.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Ambrose. I greatly appreciate that, and I greatly appreciate this opportunity. I won't take much time at all. I really just want to put emphasis on the fact that applications are open for our boards and committees, and these are really important ways to stay involved. And for me, this was almost a decade of great experience and looking at all these cool projects. And obviously, I was very interested in continuing to grow that level of involvement. So it was a huge honor to serve with my fellow planning commissioners. They're a wonderful team, and there is definitely a vacancy to be filled next year. Sure. So get those applications in for that board, and there's plenty of others. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Griffith. And if other council members would like to stand for the recognition, I'll go down and take the photo.
Sounds great. Great job. And in an unusual turn of events, I will welcome you both back up here. We are very excited to have you still with us in this new capacity. Former Commissioner, now Councilmember Griffith. We have no presentations this evening, so I will open the public comment for issues not scheduled on this evening's agenda. We have 2 sign-ups. The first, I will open it to Alma Carrillo.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Alma Carrillo. I am here on behalf of Congresswoman Brittany Pedersen just to give some general updates on our work on the federal level. So first update is on the ACA tax credits. So Congresswoman Pedersen has been extremely concerned by the failure to extend the premium ACA tax credits, which will lead to dramatic monthly premiums increases. So the expiration of enhanced ACA tax credits would result in 4.2 million people going uninsured. These are small business owners who don't get health insurance through their jobs, or it's moms and families who work hard but still can't afford the cost of health care. So Representative Pedersen has been fighting to extend these life-saving premiums, and our office is here to support the community. If you've been impacted, our team is collecting stories, so feel free to reach out to our office. We expect a vote on the ACA extension here soon, but have not heard anything as of yet. We'll make sure to keep everyone updated on our newsletters. A couple of legislation that has been we've been working on is the Small Business Relief Act. This act supports small businesses, and they provide relief and refunds for businesses who've had to pay for tariffs and would exempt them from any future tariffs. The next is the BABES Act. This law was recently signed into law, and it updates the process for TSA education on screening baby formula and breast milk, so it makes it easier for families to fly and not have a lot of holdup. Just some updates on our office. We are always happy to help with any issues with a federal agency, so please reach out to our office for assistance if you're having any issues. Our office this year has saved over $6 million for constituents through casework, and we are hosting a mobile office hours in Arvada next month, January 20th from 3 to 5 at Stanley Lake Library. So please join us if you have any issues with the federal agency. Me and another staffer will be there to answer any questions. And as always, feel free to reach out. Our number is 303-274-7944. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Mike Rawlick.
Good evening, Mayor, and good evening, City Council. My name is Mike Rawlick, and this is not with Ralston Valley Coalition right now, just me, 18735, West 59th Drive, Golden, Colorado, 80403. This is a letter from Senator Wyden to the FTC regarding flock safety. Flock operates the largest network of surveillance cameras in the United States, reportedly contracting with over 5,000 police departments, 1,000 private businesses, and numerous homeowner associations across 49 states. When a vehicle passes by a flock camera, Flock records plate information, vehicle characteristics, and when and where the vehicle was spotted. Flock's network of surveillance cameras generate and store billions of vehicle scans each month. Flock reportedly enables law enforcement to search through this data not just by plate number, but also by make, model, and even bumper stickers. In addition to being able to search data generated by cameras their agencies pay for, Flock's law enforcement customers can also search data collected by other Flock customers' cameras. Flock customers can allow access by specific law enforcement agencies and can also roll into the National Lookup Tool. Flock informed Congress this August that 75% of Flock's law enforcement customers have opted into the National Lookup Tool, which is likely due to a Flock restricting access to nationwide searches to agencies that have agreed to share their data, that have not agreed, sorry. But because most law enforcement agency customers have access to this tool, hackers, foreign spies, or anyone else that gains access to a Flock customer account misuse it to track Americans across the country. Flock has unnecessarily exposed Americans' sensitive personal data to theft by hackers and foreign spies. This is Senator Wyden, not me. While Flock offers support for MFA, multi-factor authentication, a widely recognized cybersecurity practice, Flock does not require it, which the company confirmed to Congress in October. Moreover, Flock continues to support insecure methods of multi-factor authentication, such as sending a numeric code to a phone number by text message, which is vulnerable to interception and phishing. Flock does not natively support phishing-resistant MFA, which is cybersecurity, or CISA, I should say, says is the gold standard MFA. Phishing-resistant MFA is required of federal agencies and mandated by the FTC. And I just want to say here, Got 46 seconds. It looks like Flock's failure to natively support and require phishing-resistant MFA means that hackers or foreign spies can steal, phish, or otherwise learn a law enforcement officer's Flock passwords, and they can gain access to law enforcement-only areas of Flock's website and search billions of Americans' photos, live license plates collected by taxpayer-funded cameras across the country. This threat is not theoretical. A search by congressional staff of a public tool operated by the cybersecurity company Hudson Rock documented accounts compromised by a form of malware known as InfoStealer reveals that passwords for at least 35 Flock customer accounts have been stolen. Security researcher Ben Jordan has also provided our offices with a screenshot from a Russian-language cybercrime forum in which Flock accounts appear to be offered for sale.
Thank you very much, Mr. Relic. Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to give public comment at this time? Please come forward. Yes, sir. We'll ask your name and address for the record, and if I believe I see it in your hand. Do you have one of these sign-up sheets? Perfect.
I didn't know what I was supposed to do.
That's okay. You can just give it to Ms. Grush right there. We'll make sure it gets logged away.
Good evening to all. My name is Ron Williams. I am an Arvada resident, and it has my name and address and all that in there. I have a letter here that's a letter of concern. It concerns the treatment my wife and I received from the Arvada water utility. I am writing this letter to bring a problem to your attention. I am not satisfied with the recent treatment we received from the Arvada Water Department. On November 6, 2025, our lawn mowing company ran over the sprinkler box. They apparently did not realize what had happened, and they said nothing to me about it. But it severed the water line to the sprinkler. I knew nothing about this until the next morning and checked the water meter and then discovered a break. I quickly shut off the water line to the sprinkler box. The water consumption nearly tripled, and our water bill reflected this unpredicted consumption. Called up the water utility office. I immediately called the water utility office and asked for a meeting to discuss or have an appointment so I could tell them what happened. Having heard nothing from the office by phone, I drove to the office and requested an adjustment on the bill, but was told they could not make any changes. I was still trying to find out to avoid having the water shut off. So I offered to pay partially bill of $100, and the total was $385. I was doing that to stave off from them shutting the water off, but that didn't work. I offered to pay them in a check, and they would not take the check. Admittedly, there was a phone message from the water department, but I did not understand what it was. And all this is not to mention my wife had dropped off the payment on the 29th of November to cover the whole cost. And I came by about a week or so before that and offered to pay them the money, but they would not accept the check. I just don't feel that we've been treated right. And the final bill that my wife had to pay off using her credit card because they would not accept a check was $1,224.14. So we paid it off, and they finally sent somebody out to take care of it.
Sir,
I'm angry what happened.
your time is expired, but we will have a member of the team follow up with you, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to speak at this time? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion of this evening's agenda, and I will open the consent agenda. We have 3 items on the consent agenda this evening. They are R25-119, a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement by and between the City of Arvada and Colorado Department of Transportation, CDOT, for 80th Avenue signal upgrades, CDOT projects SHOM040-039. R25-120, a resolution authorizing an agreement between the City of Arvada and the Old Town Business Improvement District for fiscal year 2026 programs and services in Old Town. And finally, R25-121, a resolution concerning electric vehicle charging systems. Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
I will make the motion for the consent agenda. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
I move R25-0119, R25-0120, and R25-0121, and just make a comment that I'm excited that we're moving forward on the 80th Avenue signal upgrade. So thank you for staff's work on that.
All right. All votes are cast. That passes 6-0. Thank you very much. We have 2 resolutions on this evening's agenda. The first is R25-112, a resolution adopting the City of Arvada's 2026 legislative agenda. I believe our presenter this evening is, I've forgotten his new title. Pedrick, what is your title again?
Police Legal Advisor and Senior Assistant City Attorney.
Thank you, Patty. All right, Mr. Pedrick Emery.
Good evening, Mayor Simpson and members of council. Before you this evening, you have R25-122. This is the City of Arvada's resolution adopting the City of Arvada's 2026 legislative agenda. This document was assembled across all of our departments with the assistance of multiple members of staff, subject matter experts, et cetera, assembled by the city manager's office for your review to guide staff's efforts and work in the upcoming legislative season for 2026. The official agenda is attached to the resolution before you and has obviously been previously presented to council members at various events, most notably our recent legislative breakfast that we have annually with our local state representatives. It is staff's recommendation that council approve and adopt this resolution. The result of that would allow staff members from all of our departments and our outside lobbyists to forward the agenda on the bills that will be debated and ultimately passed in the upcoming 2026 agenda. Obviously, the agenda covers a number of different subject matter expert areas. I can speak to some of them. I cannot speak to all of them, notably anything fiscally related or pecuniary in nature. Thankfully, Mr. Archer is here this evening. Happy to answer any questions you might have if I can, as well as any of our other subject matter experts.
Councilmember Davis.
I'll reserve the motion if there's no questions.
I see no additional lights. You may make the motion.
Okay, I move that R25-122, resolution adopting the City of Arvada's 2026 legislative agenda, be approved. I'd also like to say well done. It's a great document.
Well done.
And I'm glad that there's no pecuniary recompense.
He already beat you to the cookies.
I'm not saying
It's
it.
true. Inside joke, folks. Apologies. All right, that passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. Next, we have R25-123, a resolution authorizing amendments to the bylaws and rules of procedure of the Arvada Park Advisory Committee. Director of Vibrant Community Neighborhoods, Mr. Ryan Stevenson. I believe you have this one.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight's item, R25-123, which proposes a set of targeted amendments to Arvada Parks Advisory Committee, APAC, bylaws and rules of procedure. Just by way of background, Council reestablished APAC and adopted the current bylaws in February of 2024. Since that time, APAC has also absorbed the former Golf Advisory Committee, and the committee has now been operating as a single advisory body for almost 2 years now. What you'll see tonight is not a major policy shift, but rather it's a housekeeping update, adjustments that better reflect how the committee is actually functioning today and that help clarify expectations around membership composition, quorum, and procedures. The proposed amendments, they focus on 3 primary areas. You'll see that. Committee composition and membership requirements, removing duplicative or outdated language. We wanted to clean that up. And also minor corrections. There were some typos that we found need to clean up. But importantly, these updates were reviewed and discussed by APAC in a public meeting that happened about a month ago at their November meeting. And these recommendations to you, they were unanimously voted on by APAC. So this reflects the Parks Advisory's collective judgment that the bylaws should align with current practice while maintaining council's intent and oversight. Because APAC's bylaws can only be amended by council resolution, what we are seeking from council tonight is consideration and approval of Resolution 25-123, which would formally adopt the proposed amendments and allow APAC to continue operating clearly and effectively moving forward. With that, I'll turn it over to Janelle Miller. She is our assigned city attorney who will walk you through the proposed changes in more detail and answer any legal or procedural questions you may have.
Thank you. Good evening, members of council. Like Mr. Stevenson said, my name is Janelle Miller, and I'm the VCN attorney. I'm going to run through some of the primary substantive changes with you tonight, but your packets do have the red line version, so you can see all the amendments that are being suggested. But like we said, they're a little bit more procedural or linguistic in nature. So the 3 changes that we're going to primarily run through relate to committee composition and the quorum requirements. So Liz, if you can go to the next slides for me. Perfect. All right, so right now the bylaws do require that we have 18 members appointed to the APAC. And I know when these bylaws were adopted, council felt pretty strongly about having a larger committee size because of the fact that we were absorbing or combining 2 committees together between golf and parks. Since that time, we have actually had several members resign from our committee, so it can be a little bit difficult for us to fill all 18 spots. So what we are recommending is to instead have that number 18 be actually the cap. So have a range of membership potentially. So a minimum of 12 members with a maximum of 18 members. So if council is able to fill all 18 spots, that would be great. But by having that minimum number in there, that would actually reduce the size and be able, or to ensure that we have the number of people that would be able to serve in the committee. And then since there is potentially going to be fewer members appointed to the committee, we are likewise recommending that district or representation across the districts be lowered as well. So right now the bylaws do require that we have at least 3 members from each of the 4 districts as part of APAC. What we are recommending is instead to drop that to just at least 2 members per 4 districts. That reduction will enable council to ensure that they are appointing the most appropriate candidates with diverse interests across the city and not have to pass on certain candidates just because of where they do live. So that relates to committee composition. The next one is just the quorum requirements. Right now, the bylaws provide that you need to have 9 members to make a quorum, but since we are recommending a committee composition that could vary in size, the quorum would then just be 50% of the members who are appointed by council at the time of the business transaction. So if there's only 12 members appointed by council at one point, then your quorum would be 6 people, but if we get all 18, then it's back up to 9. But that just kind of accounts for the potential shifts in the membership appointments. That's actually all I have in terms of the substantive changes. Like Mr. Stevenson said, these were recommendations from the APAC committee that were coming up to council because they actually cannot they cannot amend their own bylaws. That's only something that council can do. So that's why we are putting it to a vote of the members of council. But we're open to any questions as well.
Thank you. I'll open it to council questions or comments. Councilmember Griffith.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a question, and this, I apologize, we'll go to other bylaws for other boards and committees. I don't see anything in the update in the long-form document about mid-cycle vacancies and how they're to be filled. As I understand it, in the charter, that is discussed in a very sort of skeletal way, so it doesn't really say what happens beyond a vacancy is filled through a normal process whenever there's a vacancy due to a term limit or a cycle or appointment ending. So my comment generally is that if someone leaves in the middle of their appointment, how is that role filled? The appointments are how long? Are they 4 years, something like that?
I'm sorry. I didn't know if Ms. Rush, if you were answering that question or if I was, but.
We have
So
this issue
I
with,
could-
I think, all of our bylaws, so.
We do.
Yes.
And it's one of the things that we're looking at as more of a global level so that we can take care of it for all of our boards and commissions at the same time. So we don't have it addressed typically in the individual bylaws. We do have a typical practice that we've engaged in as a city as part of this process, and that would be that we retain some of the applications from the prior process, and then we look at those applications if we have a midterm vacancy and ask people if, who previously applied, if they're still interested in that position. And so that's been how we've generally handled it for a number of years. But as part of our process, doing the kind of trying to redo a lot of the bylaws, a lot of the ordinances, and then a lot of the policies around boards and commissions, we will include that. We'll include a very specific process. We just don't have that in our policies right now.
Thank you so much. That was the only comment that I had, and it's for a lot of these. Thank you.
Excellent. I see no additional lights if anyone wants to take the motion. Councilmember Davis.
I will make the motion. Let me get
Thank you.
back up there. I move that R25-123, a resolution authorizing amendments to the bylaws and rules of procedure of the Arvada Park Advisory Committee, be approved.
Thank you. All votes have been cast. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. Next, we have two other appointments this evening. The first is the appointment to Planning Commission, which was continued from December 2nd, 2025. And some quick context on this one. It was actually done through the exact process Ms. Morris has just described. So this past winter, 24 through 25, Council accepted applications for all vacancies, and we had a vacancy on Planning Commission at that time. We interviewed candidates. They applied through the public process. We went through interviews. And what council decided was at that time, 2 of our interviewees had really exceptional credentials and either one could truly fill. So ultimately, we wound up appointing one in the spring. And then we said if there was another vacancy, the other would be offered if they were still interested. That candidate has indicated that they are interested since we have a vacancy right now. And since this is within the annual cycle, we haven't actually started the next cycle yet. We felt comfortable moving forward with this truly wonderful candidate. So with that, I'm opening the appointment to Planning Commission, which was continued from December 2nd, 2025. I need a motion to appoint. Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
Thank you. I move to appoint Miriam McGilvery to the Planning Commission for an unexpired term ending April 30th, 2026.
Thank you. Councilmember Griffith, you wish to speak?
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, and I think this was great to have the context from our city attorney for that process. And as I understand it, this was a standout candidate. And I just wanted to express some thoughts that I had here. So as a new member of City Council, obviously I wasn't here a year ago when that process took place. So whenever I look at this, I get to the point where I'm a little concerned that I wasn't a part of a process that I'm about to approve. However, I recognize that my colleagues were, so I find myself in this sort of Schrodinger's cat of decisions to make. But I wanted to express at least why I kind of am thinking the way I am is Many of the boards and committees, they all have this really important capacity. Planning Commission obviously is a very near and dear board to me, and I certainly would like to be included in the process of selecting the replacements. So in that sense, I would very much prefer that we did an open process and put this back out for applications to come in. And that's kind of what I would like to see happen, but I also understand and respect my colleagues' position because they were here for that selection process. So just wanted to voice that.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Ambrose, you also wish to speak?
Yes, I wanted to ask if we didn't appoint someone tonight, how that would affect city operations.
Thank you for the question, Councilmember Ambrose. At this point, we have 6 members that are on our Planning Commission, which, as the council can probably attest to, is tricky, especially when we have controversial cases, so we don't have a tiebreaker, essentially. What's also challenging is that we struggle to meet our quorum if there is an absence with our existing standing group, and so we know that that is always a challenge if folks are calling out. For example, I think in November, we knew that we were going to have some absences, and so that absolutely impacted our ability to bring certain cases forward because the applicant didn't feel comfortable with not having a full commission. And so I think that's just the challenge, is that we want to give folks an opportunity to present their cases before the full Planning Commission, so not having somebody on the Planning Commission creates that challenge.
So how long would this challenge, like until April?
Yes, it would be until April when the council has a chance to appoint new members.
May, the first meeting of May.
First meeting of May.
So the first, so it would be 4 months of a Planning Commission, applicants would not feel great about presenting their projects.
5 months, and if I'm not mistaken, it would also have included, had we had a meeting in December, it would have included this month. So yeah, there are a number of months where it's just difficult without having a full Planning Commission seated.
Okay. Thank you for that information. Because of how much this would unfortunately gum up city processes, I'm going to be voting for this appointment, and if other council members, Councilmember Griffith, you make a good point that you weren't part of the process to move to this appointment, and I don't know if the 2 new council members both felt the same way and recused themselves from the decision, and then a vote happened to appoint this person. Would that stand?
I don't believe this is an ordinance. However, we don't force votes if folks don't want to take them. Ms. Morris, you're the attorney. I'm going to let you give the legal rationale.
So if council members, the only way that you can not vote is by recusing yourself. And so that has to be voted on by the remainder of council. We don't have a provision in our rules right now that would allow a council member to abstain. I understand the rationale here. We could always build in a rule like that, but right now we don't have one.
Okay. Well, I do see the issue here, and I see what you're raising here, Councilmember Griffith, but I think in light of stopping developmental work for the city for 5 months, and I also have the biased opinion that I was part of the council group that wanted to appoint this, and for me, I think it's a group dynamic of where, there are past decisions that city councils have made that I support, even though I wasn't there, because I think that's part of supporting continuing leadership as a body and making group decisions. So I also kind of have that, philosophical point of view about those things, or revisiting it in a group way. So I think I will be voting ahead with this appointment because of the technical difficulties that the city would be facing if we didn't move ahead tonight.
Mayor Pro Tim Mormon.
Thank you, and I appreciate this conversation. Thank you, Councilmember Griffith, for bringing it up. And I know Councilmember Pfeiffer has expressed some opinion on this as well, and I share his view and the view that was just shared by Councilmember Ambrose, that this body continues to make decisions, and decisions are made in the past before new council members come on, and that is just the what makes this body and how it functions and continues to function. And I think that is important. And so recognizing that these decisions have been made in the past, and then we come in and need to respect those decisions, and does not be, having new members does not invalidate the legitimacy of those past decisions. So it's just part of that changeover that occurs when new members come on, and recognizing that. But I think for this particular decision and decisions that have been made prior to a new council being seated, I think we need to respect those decisions. So I will be supporting this as well.
Thank you. I see no additional lights. However, I will reiterate, Councilmember Pfeiffer called me before the meeting to let me know he would be absent, and he did reiterate his support for this appointment. We were very impressed with Ms. McGilvray?
McGilvray. And
McGilvray. Thank you.
And Mayor Simpson, if I may,
Yes.
I just wanted to provide a little bit of context. This appointment would be effective until April, when Councilmember Griffith's former Planning Commission term expires. So there will be another opportunity at that point to have this discussion, as well as we have another member that's rolling off the Planning Commission at that time. So there will be two vacancies coming up in 2026, and we look forward to the council seeing applicants for that. And we hope that we get a robust number of folks that want to serve on our Planning Commission.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Councilmember Levison.
So as a previous commission member with the Festivals Commission, I just wanted to say I appreciate that staff is looking into the bylaws and the comment by Councilmember Griffith. Anything to guide the time and energy our amazing volunteers are committing, and then noticing what we're missing and how we can bring more clarity in the future should the situation arise. So thank you for looking ahead.
With that, I will request the votes. All right. That passes 5-1 with Councilmember Griffith being a no vote and Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. Thank you very much, everybody. Great discussion. It's certainly always worth checking ourselves to make sure we are handling things in an appropriate process. And so I appreciate that very much. Next, we have appointments to the city council members to various boards and committees. So we always do this one in a bit of a round robin. So I apologize, Ms. Levison. That means we're going to be kicking off with you today. So essentially, you will appoint the first one, which is me, to the Arvada City Attorney Committee. Then Ms. Davis will have the next one. And then I will have Ms. Ambrose, and so on down the line. Oh, Reverend Ambrose, my apologies, Councilmember Ambrose.
Okay. And I move, would I say that? Or?
Yes.
Yep, okay. I move that our mayor, yeah, grab that. Had my own notes. Okay, perfect, thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I may,
Thank
I
you.
move to appoint Mayor Lauren Simpson to the Arvada City Attorney Committee, Arvada Municipal Court/Judicial Committee, Arvada Urban Renewal Authority, Arvada Visitor Center Committee, Urban Drainage and Flood Control District, West Connect Coalition, and as an alternate to the E470 Authority, Old Town Business Improvement District.
All right. What? Yes, we vote on each one.
Okay, did you find it?
All right. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. I will go ahead and take the next one. We'll just keep going around the line. So I move to appoint Mayor Pro Tem Randy Moorman to the Arvada Audit Committee, the Arvada Center for the Arts and Humanities, Arvada Sustainability Committee, the Colorado Municipal League Policy Committee, Jefferson Parkway Public Highway Authority, and as alternate to the Northwest Parkway Authority. All votes are cast. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence.
Okay. Yes.
Good observation. So we can't make Councilmember Levison last because she'd be appointing herself. So Councilmember Levison, why don't you take Councilmember Ambrose?
Thanks for your patience. I move to appoint Councilmember Shauna Ambrose to Adams County Regional Economic Partnership, Arvada Economic Development Association Board, Arvada Fire Protection District Coordination Committee, Bond Oversight Committee, CML Policy Committee, Jefferson County R-1 Schools Coordinating Committee, and as an alternate to the Denver Regional Council of Governments, or Dr. COG, and Arvada Visitors Center Committee.
All votes are cast. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to appoint Councilmember Sharon Davis to the Apex Coordinating Committee, Arvada Fire Protection District Coordinating Committee, Arvada Municipal Court Judicial Committee, Denver Regional Council of Governments, Dr. COG, Jefferson County Committee Corrections Board, Jefferson Economic Development Council, or JEDC, Jeffco Transportation Action and Advisory Group. I won't try to. Thank you, JeffTag, and also an alternate to the E470 Authority.
Thank you. All votes are cast. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. Mr. Griffith.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to appoint Councilmember Bob Pfeiffer to the Arvada City Attorney Committee, the Arvada Transportation Committee, the Jefferson Parkway Highway Authorities, the Smart City Advisory Committee, and as an alternate to the Northwest Parkway Authority.
That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. Councilmember Ambrose.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to appoint Councilmember Michael Griffith to the Arvada Audit Committee, the Arvada Chamber of Commerce Government Affairs Committee, Housing Advisory Committee, Smart City Advisory Committee, and as an alternate to the Adams County Regional Economic Partnership, Jeffco Transportation Action and Advisory Group, JeffTag, and the Jefferson County Community Corrections Board and West Connect Coalition.
There we go. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. And I should have just left the rotation as it was. Councilmember Davis, if you'll take it.
I move to appoint Councilmember Rebecca Levison to the Bond Oversight Committee, Jefferson County R-1 Schools Coordinating Committee, and the Old Town Business Improvement District.
Excellent. All votes are cast. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. Thank you, everybody, for another year of great boards and committees. All right, next I'm going to open our public hearings. We have a few public hearings this evening. First, I will open CB 25-028, an ordinance repealing and reenacting various sections of Chapter 82, Purchasing and Contracts of the Arvada City Code, Ordinance Number 4914. Mr. Archer, I believe you have this item.
Will this item be pecuniary?
Well, first of all, I am not allowed to use any word I can't spell, so no. And secondarily, this will be handled by Janelle Miller, as she did all the work, and it would not be good if I presented.
Welcome, Ms. Miller. We're happy to have you.
All right, sorry you're stuck with me again, but I'm going to try to go through this one sort of quickly, but I make no guarantees. What we're focusing on right now for this one is Chapter 82, which is our, it's the chapter that governs our city's purchasing and contracting procedures. So since the city is a public entity utilizing public funds, we are required by law to follow prescribed purchasing procedures when we are acquiring goods and services. So make sure I get the language right. Colorado law requires that government purchases prioritize efficiency, economy, and integrity, using competition when feasible, and to ensure that public funds are spent responsibly and through clear and public processes. So Liz, if we can actually go into the background. Back in 2021, I know a couple of you were here, but we've got some new faces in here. Back in 2021, both City Council and City staff did a complete kind of overhaul of our Chapter 82. And at the time, we modified some existing procedures, and then we actually enacted some new procedures at that point. And we've been working under this version for about 5 years now, but we've had a couple kind of major changes within at least the staffing side of the city. So since the enactment of our current version, we've expanded and we kind of reorganized our own departments. For example, we combined our utilities department with our public works department, and now we just have a single infrastructure department. We've also brought in a new, I guess it's like a finance management or human management capitals. I can't remember the name of the system, but Workday essentially is what it is. And then we've also identified some gaps in the ordinance and some kind of need for clarity. And all of this has kind of prompted both the need for some grammatical changes and some substantive changes to our purchasing ordinances and procedures. So I'm going to run through some of the primary substantive changes. Again, you guys do have all of the red lines. That does include those grammatical changes. Those are all included in your packets, but I'm just going to go through the substantive ones. And those essentially are going to fall into 3 categories tonight. First, what types of purchases does the ordinance actually apply to? Second, what are the procurement methods that the ordinance requires? And then finally, once we do have the goods and services acquired or selected, what does that contracting process look like? And what does the approval process look like for those contracts? All right. Okay, so in terms of applicability, so section 82-3, that does list the types of purchases or contracts that are accepted from our purchasing ordinance requirements. And the items that are listed on this slide are just being added to that existing list. And that's for various reasons. For example, if we have separate existing processes or policies or procedures that are a little bit more on point or are more extensive or applicable to the actual purchase, we'd rather use those existing processes since they are directly on point. So, for example, like if we look at the public utilities item, we do have a very lengthy franchise agreement with XL that does cover like billing and payment, so we just rely on the franchise agreement versus trying to plug it into this ordinance. Same thing for our real property lease agreements. For example, we do have like residential properties that we lease to city staff, and we have an entire policy and procedure that's for that application process. It goes all the way from application to termination, so it makes more sense to rely on that policy versus the purchasing ordinance. And then some of these other items, I think it's hard to impose kind of stringent regulations when the city is receiving money or receiving in-kind donations. So the example I was going to give on here is occasionally it happens when sometimes members of the public will collide with city vehicles and their insurance company is willing to come in and pay for the damage. But if we try to use our city code to kind of get the estimates figured out, it's just much easier to have the insurance company come in and say, we will pay for the damage, just take it to this vendor, and it's in our best interest to just take it to that vendor instead of pushing back and saying, we have to get our documented quotes. So same thing for like volunteers. If they're coming in and they're willing to provide us either with grants or in-kind services, it's kind of hard to require them to go through a purchasing procedure. So that's why we're adding these ones to the list. And then next. Okay, next bucket of changes. This is assuming the ordinance does apply. So if there is no exception in place, what are the solicitation or procurement methods required for that purchase? So when we are doing contracts, we have some that are competitively bid and some that are non-competitively obtained. So for changes for our competitive processes, we are making some moving provisions related to our cooperative agreements into this section. So cooperative agreements are actually already authorized for the city to utilize, but for whatever reason, right now they're in our non-competitive solicitation section, which is it's just not accurate. It is a competitively solicited contract, and it is a negotiated agreement. It's just done by another entity instead of the city, so the city is able to go in and just piggyback off of those terms and conditions and pricing. So we're just moving that and reorganizing it to put it in the correct section. And then we are authorizing use of those competitive contracts for the purchase of goods and services up to $499,999.99. And if it exceeds that amount, then you have to go this formal solicitation route unless authorized by the finance director. Okay, so that's the change to the competitive solicitation methods. Changes to our non-competitive solicitation section. What staff is introducing or is proposing to introduction of is single source contracts. So single source contracts are non-competitive contracts that are offered to one particular vendor, even though there are potentially other vendors that could supply those goods and services, but when the award is in the best interest of the city. So for example, if we are considering things like standardization of inventory, long-standing relationships with that existing vendor, the vendor's pre-existing knowledge of our city infrastructure, those are just a couple of different examples of why we would use a single source contract. I think one real-world example would be like for our fleet team. So we have our fleet with our snow plows, for example. When we've purchased those in the past, we've historically put those out to bid. but we've actually awarded the same contract to the same vendor every single time. But that's just because that vendor does know our specs. They've built the vehicles to our specification, and they know what the city is looking for and is what they need. So a single source contract would just allow us to go straight to that vendor, assuming all the documentation requirements and approval limits are met. That would just allow us to go straight to the vendor to start negotiations and move that process a little bit more quickly. So, next one that we have, the last area that the purchasing ordinance regulates is contracting authority, and that's designating who, on behalf of the city, may procure goods and services. So currently, the city manager, deputy city managers, work system directors, our city engineer, water treatment plant manager, and our purchasing manager are authorized to procure goods and services for the city. And what we are proposing is to add our deputy directors to that list. This really just accounts for those shifts that I discussed previously. For example, amongst our internal departments, combining public works and utilities to create an infrastructure division. What that did was put about 244 employees into our infrastructure team, and authorizing our deputy directors to assist with some of the pressures that a large work system can have in those instances can just kind of help alleviate some of that. In terms of monetary approval authority, the deputy directors would have authority to approve a contract or a purchase order up to and including $149,999.99. Anything above that would just be in accordance with the existing approval levels, so no changes above the $149,000. Okay, so finally, the bulk of the proposed changes that you're going to see on the contract side of things will actually pertain more so to the monetary modifications of contracts. So the term modification here is really just encompassing all change orders, amendments, whatever they're called at the time. The idea here is to have the modification authority mirror essentially what the approval authority would look like. So for example, if you have a deputy director can approve a contract that is worth $200,000, they would then have the authority to modify that contract up to $200,000. The only exception really to that, we are trying to use explicit dollar amounts to make sure that it is clear what the authority is at each level. The only exception to that would be a CIP contract that's valued at more than $2.5 million. And for those ones, we are recommending a contract percentage for a modification. So for those agreements, if the modification equates to less than 20% of the total contract amount, city manager may approve. If it's more than 20% of that contract amount, then it has to go back to council for approval. In comparison, right now, our ordinance says for any agreement over the $500,000 limit, if the modification is either less than $499,000 or less than 20% of the contract amount, whichever is less, then it can go to the city council or city manager for approval. And we're just trying to clean up some of that language so that it's a clear 20% under city manager, 20% over goes to city council. That way there's no confusion about, well, is this less than 20% or is this am I supposed to be using the hard number? It's just very clear guidelines for staff to know whether or not this needs to go to council or if it can be handled internally. So if council does approve either a single or aggregated monetary modification amount, that approval would then act as a reset for purposes of determining who may approve any future modifications. And the reason being is that the modifications will be aggregated through the life of a contract now. We're not going to utilize singular fiscal years. It'll roll through the term of the contract. And we did put that process into Section 8262B2 in the ordinance itself, and there is a suggesting that we codify an actual example so that staff does know how to apply this later and that there's no room for misinterpretation. So, if we go forward, this slide captures a portion of the table that does set forth the contract and purchase approval and modification authority. This one's particularly for council. We are going to read these tables from left to right. So this row would govern the approval authority for contracts that are more than $500,000 more than 500,000 for non-capital improvements, so those are not for CIP contracts. But then if they are in the window between 500 and 2.5 for CIP contract, this is still the rules that would be applicable. So if the agreement, say, is more than 500,000, it will still go to City Council for approval. There's no changes there. But if it does need to be modified, that's really where we're going to see those changes. And I'll give you just an example. So say that City Council approves like a $600,000 contract for the purchase of like body-worn cameras. And the equipment that we have to maintain and the associated storage, the cloud storage for all the videos. So that contract, say it's effective for like 2 years. So it would go to City Council for the initial approval because it is $600,000, so it's over that $500,000 limit. But say our recruiting team does a fantastic job and we bring in 20 new officers and we have to equip them all with body cameras. Because as a state law, we don't have an option, we have to get a body cameras for them. But say that's going to cost around $50,000 because we would do the amendment process. We'd follow the table left to right, goes to City Council for the initial approval process. Because the amendment would be about $50,000, it's under the threshold for either a deputy director or the director or whoever to sign. Rather than bringing that amendment right back to council, instead we would handle that amendment in-house so that we can get our officers their cameras, they can get out on the street, and then we don't have to delay the implementation of their use just because we don't have a council meeting that week. So that would be kind of the example of how we would utilize that table specifically. And then the next table, this is the next row, and this would be the exception that I was talking about for CIP contracts. So this modification of a CIP contract would only be contracts above $2.5 million, and that's where we would see our contract percentages. So another example for that one, say we've got a large stormwater sewer replacement that's worth about $3 million. That project is executed, it's approved by council, say it's going to take a year, but a couple months into the project, we maybe realize that we need to get more piping, piping or something is needed. Because we anticipate, if that piping was going to cost about, let's say it just costs like $500,000 or $550 or something like that. If we utilize the table here, 20% of the $3 million that was initially approved is about $600,000. Because this change order would be less than 20% of that contract, the city manager would have the authority to approve it. So even though typically anything above $500,000 would go to council, because we're using a percentage for the CIP contracts, this would be approved by the city manager instead. Oh, phew, I got through it. Okay. So I did mention that there is a red line version of all the sections that are being updated in your packet. If council approved the ordinance, the changes would go into effect on January 1st of 2026. That gives staff the ability to put on some training and get the work changes and workday that we need to be enabled to actually move these contracts through. But do you have any questions at this point?
Councilmember Ambrose, your light was on first.
Thank you. I appreciate the presentation and all the work that you all did. It sounds like an incredible body of work to go to each city department and ask, how can we streamline this? How can we be making this more efficient? My first question is on slide 4. You listed all of the new list of exceptions from the purchasing ordinance. Did you calculate, like in a given fiscal year, how much money this would be, like in total with these categories, would be now exempted from the purchasing ordinance, just to give like a sense of how much money this would apply to? Or this, how much money would be affected by this?
I personally didn't. I'm not.
I don't. Yeah.
Councilmember Ambrose, thank you for that question. In practice, many of these items didn't come to council anyway.
Right.
And so we were cleaning a lot of them up. But specifically on average, insurance claims might be $500,000 a year to some years it could be $1 million.
Yeah.
But again, those are small dollar amounts, 5,000 here, 7,000 there.
Right.
Many of the grants that we have are actually opposite of this. They require us to do more than what is in our purchasing ordinance. And so there's only very specific ones. For example, many times police will get a grant to buy a very specific type of body armor.
Right.
And we have to buy it from a very specific company, and we would be following that anyway. We just use this to codify that. And so that's certainly something we could look into from a dollar figure, but unfortunately, right off the top of my head, I wouldn't have that.
Okay, well, I think, you know, with our annual operating, it's like $360 million, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, so I think this, to me, I feel like if it's like 10 million or less.
You're not
Yeah.
even going to be in that ballpark.
Okay.
Most years, you're going to be less than $1 million that would operate
Okay.
here. For example, consultants hired by the city attorney, most of those average $20,000, $25,000. They're very
Yeah.
specific cases, and we have to hire a very specific, special individual that'll come in and help us complete whatever case we're working on.
Okay, it helps to know those amounts, because if it's like, oh, there's half the city budget is going
Right.
towards this stuff, I'd be like, I want more oversight on that.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you for the question.
And then the second to last slide, how often is it happening that there is a CIP modification that is coming before council? Like, how much is this slowing up work? Because for me, with this presentation, you know, my first reaction to it would be like, let's just keep everything the same. Anytime it's over 500,000 and above, let's just have it go to council, because it's just a significant amount of money. And so can I hear a little bit more about the rationale of having the city manager being able to change up to 20%, even if it's over the $500,000 amount?
That's a fair question. Many times we do see projects that are slowed down due to the timing of needing to come to city council for approval. Overall, the larger projects, this isn't going to change anything, because when we're coming to you for a modification, it's going to be a relatively large modification. Really, the window is roughly $2.5 million to $10 million projects, which we don't have a lot of those, that we run into a slowdown.
Okay.
So if you take 10 million as a number and you say, you know, how many times is that going to come to city council? Maybe once a year, okay? But it does mean something to the engineers and the project managers that are working on that. So having the ability to work through the city manager and get that approval in, let's say, a 2-week period of time, it will still go on the Friday memo to city council. You will still see this information. You will still have the opportunity to call it up if you would like.
Okay.
But we just don't then have to add the extra 3 to 6 weeks of time to put it on a resolution and bring that formal adoption to you.
Okay.
Certainly understand that this is an ask of you, and we're happy to account and track for that and bring that back to you, if you approve this, and we can talk about it, and if it's an uncomfortable one, we can certainly change it.
Yeah, I guess I would like to, I don't want to stop this work tonight, but I would, it sounds like what you're suggesting is like an informal arrangement of like, you know, anything that is 400, 999,000 or above would be, the council would be informed of that, and then we could call it up. But it's not, it sounds like from, and I'm sorry I didn't read through the bylaw changes itself, but it doesn't sound like that information is required with the notification is not required for council with the 20% CIP or.
Actually, part of our purchasing policy requires, go ahead if you want to answer.
Yeah.
Sorry, we have a separate policy. So we have got our ordinance in place, and then we have our purchasing policy that city staff utilizes as a kind of a more of administrative, day-to-day tracking of how we're doing our contracts. And that is a requirement, is that we do report those to city council as well. So you'll still receive those reports, even though it's not codified in our ordinance, it is still captured in our city policy, and there's been no changes there.
Okay, if I could get sent that policy so I'm aware of when we, at what level we're getting those notifications and have the ability to call things up, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, and that's linked in the weekly, and that's anything greater than 50,000, so you will see a lot of these.
Oh, okay, so the policy is anything over 50,000, council gets notified anyway, and we can call that up anytime.
Correct.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation. Really appreciate it and the work you've done on this. My question is, you addressed single source contracting. What about sole source contracting, which is different? And so just curious, what is our policy on that?
So we're not eliminating the use of any sole source contracts. Those provisions will remain in the ordinance and remain unchanged. The difference really here is on the requirements of staff to get the single source contract approved. So there is going to be multiple levels of approval that do need to be obtained before you can contract through a single source vendor. And then the reason is that there's a little bit of a difference between there's no other vendors, we have to use them, versus there is other vendors, we want to use them.
Right.
So when we're going through that process, we did build in multiple layers of approval. You got to take it to purchasing, you got to take it to the city manager's office. You have to have more thorough documentation about why you feel that this is the contract that you should award, even though there's clearly other vendors that can provide it. So we did try to build in additional layers of protection so that we didn't see, hopefully that we don't see any abuse of these type of single source contracts. We're going to have a little bit more oversight on those ones.
So for sole source, there's less of those checks then, is what I'm hearing, that
Right.
you
The
have.
existing checks would remain in place that we already had in the policy or the ordinance itself.
Okay, thank you.
Quickly, is there anyone in public comment who would like to give testimony on this item? Seeing none, I will close the public comment on this item and open it for any council comments or action. I'm going to start assigning it to you guys. Councilmember Ambrose.
If there's no further discussion, I'll make the motion.
You may go.
Let me make sure I got the right one pulled up. Okay. I move that CB 25-028, an ordinance repealing and reenacting various sections of Chapter 82, Purchasing and Contracts of the Arvada City Code, be approved on final reading, numbered 4914, and ordered published by title only.
Thank you very much. Council will cast their votes. All votes are cast. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. Thank you. Great job, Ms. Miller, Mr. Archer. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, Council. I do want to say thank you again to the legal and purchasing teams and all the other departments. Worked really hard on this, and we've probably spent the last 18 months trying to get this right, so thank you very much.
This does seem like it was an extraordinary lift, particularly in regards to technical expertise, so well done, and thank you. Next, I will open CB 25-029, an ordinance authorizing an additional appropriation for fiscal year 2025, ordinance number 4915. Welcome back, Mr. Archer.
Okay, now you get me. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just want to wish you all happy holidays because I know we won't see you again after this, before the new year. So let's talk about the supplemental appropriation, also called our cleanup ordinance, also called our year-end ordinance. Basically, the only way for City Council to change the approved budget is through ordinance. And that requires, obviously, a public session, a couple of readings. So we do that a couple times throughout the year. As you can see on this slide, items in purple are our ordinances. So council will remember just a month and a half ago, you approved the budget for next year. So we're looking back. So in October of 2024, council approved our 2025 budget. In April, we bring to you what we call a carryover ordinance. And what that is items that were not completed in the prior year that we're asking you to bring the budget forth. Maybe sometimes we have grants or other things that show up in the few months between the end of the year and that ordinance. That happens in April. Throughout the year, we take resolutions to you. Again, these can be things like we received additional funding from the federal government. We got a grant. We ran into an emergency that we had to purchase a generator or things like that that weren't in the original budget. Council approves those through resolution. However, because you can't adjust the formal budget, we have to bring many of those items back to you in an ordinance this time of year. So as I run through these, many of these should look very familiar to you, I'm hoping. There should be no surprises, and that is what we're doing tonight, is asking you to approve the final ordinance for the year. In essence, that's what we just described right there. I know this is a lot of numbers on a table, so what we're trying to reflect for you, council, is that is the original budget that you see at the top that you approved last October. The carryover ordinance, the amount that you approved in April. Right now, we currently sit at $530,525,460. That's our approved budget. Tonight, we're asking you to add approximately $13,273,501 for a final revised budget of $543,798,961. That's the same piece of information, just broken out by fund, by the different categories we just talked about: original budget, carryover ordinance, cleanup, and final. I am happy to report to you all that all of the items we're asking for approval tonight either have a revenue offset, so that can be a grant, an increase in revenue from what was expected, a transfer from another fund, or there's sufficient reserves to cover these expenses. So let's take a look at the general fund. Relatively small this year, about $1.8 million in overall expenditures. And if we jump to the detail, you will see the majority of that was for the additional contribution that council approved to the Arvada Center, about $1.6 million. You'll see some other smaller line items as we move down the page, some dollars for a professional services contract, some dollars to help complete our facilities master plan, and then finally, a whole bunch of various operating expenditures. In your packet, these are detailed, and if you have any questions on any of them, we're certainly here, but just didn't want to run through each one of those tonight. On our conservation trust, or many people call these lottery dollars, as you're familiar, the lottery is getting quite large right now. Anytime that grows, our dollars here grow. We were excited to be able to put some of those to use, and we're going to be replacing the synthetic turf out at Long Lake, which is very exciting. There was an additional transfer to our street maintenance fund during the year. We had additional general fund dollars from 2024. We added that to the streets fund earlier in the spring, again, formally doing it tonight. Our CDBG fund was able to gain a lot of additional grant funding in 2025, and so many of these projects should look familiar, but they were asking for about $1.3 million for the paint-a-thon and beyond home renovation work, $100,000 to increase our essential home repair program. Each year that has a flat dollar amount, and in some years our requests are greater than what we have in the budget. We're able to draw on our reserves and add to that. We're very excited about that. $235,000 that will be transferred to the overall Gold Strike Park Playground project. As you are well aware, that's quite a large project, and this is some funding that we were able to secure for that. And $1 million for an affordable housing loan program. Again, as you can see, many of these were offset by grant dollars. In this case, everything you see up there was offset by grant dollars, so that's very exciting. Our housing fund was able to secure additional grant funding earlier in the year for both our Housing Choice Voucher Program and our Main Street Voucher Program. Mainstream, if you remember from when the housing team is here, helps some of our most disadvantaged individuals, individuals with disabilities, et cetera. A very neat program that we're able to offer here through the city. And so these are additional dollars that we put out or brought in and then put out in 2025. Some small dollars here, I apologize, but we created a new safety culture program. You heard a lot about that earlier this summer. So very excited to put these funds out into the different areas in the city. So the Parks Fund had a transfer from our Risk and Safety Fund, about $4,000 to help with that. You'll see this again here in a couple of slides. Our Seizure Fund was able to use some seizure receipts that we received from the state to supplement SWAT supplies and SWAT rifles that badly needed to be replaced. Our TI funds, as you will see here, again, these are almost all grant related. We do offer a program each year that we put on a bunch of training for various law enforcement agencies throughout the state, and then they pay us back. That's that $40,000. Some software from grants. The $165,000, again, is in your packet. That is made up of about 7 different grants for various items. The PD is very, very active in this arena, and then some small adjustments that we had to make for operating increases. Our CIP fund, these are items that needed to be reappropriated. I think I tell this story every year, but in government accounting, the way we create funds is we have to transfer money from one fund to the other, and then we have to reappropriate it to spend it. That's a requirement. So you'll notice about $90,000 for the Ralston Triangle project. That funding came from ORA. The $1 million we just talked about for the turf replacement from Conservation Trust has to come back over here, get rebudgeted. $320,000 for the replacement of Danny Kendrick Park. You're all well aware of that with the wastewater work. $160,000 for a police incinerator. These monies were set aside in the general fund many, many years ago, transferred over, and now are going to be spent. And then some final settlement dollars that need to be spent on Ralston Road, our legal team went out and got some additional funding for replacement of certain items out there. You will notice approximately $2.1 million of additional funding being added to the 72nd Avenue project. This is interest that we've earned up to date, and so again, we're just asking council the permission to spend those dollars. Some small dollar items, again, water fund, about $11,000 for an addition to the Canyon Pines project. This is being reimbursed by the developer. $6,000, we talked about the safety awards. Wanted to represent that we have some of that in our wastewater area. On the golf side, you will remember through our quarterly report how well our golf and restaurant operations are doing. As their revenues increase, these will look like very familiar line items to you. So inventory, staffing, and supplies so that you can meet the needs of all of our customers. And then two items to identify a completion for the Lake Arbor Master Plan, take a look at the topography out there and see if there's anything we can do to change. And then finally, a greens roller that's going to be purchased out at Lake Arbor. The Technology Fund is working on replacing all of our computers, and they were able to get, fortunately after the tariffs and the slowdowns and everything, some equipment in. And so all of these dollars are already set aside in a reserve, in a sinking fund, and so again, we're just asking your permission to spend them, about $136,000. On the solid waste side, you heard from them earlier this summer as they had an increase in the number of residents taking advantage of that program. So that increases the expenditures, obviously, but their revenues that come in to offset this. This is just a pass-through, so this is cleaning up this fund. And then on our insurance side, we had a few legal claims that came due in 2025. These are items that we've been working on for years, and then when it's time to pay the bill, we have to ask permission to pay. These are also, dollars have been set aside for this in our reserves in the insurance fund, and we knew they were coming. And then the final item tonight is to account for our share of the work that was done at the community table renovation, about $157,000. Council had a presentation on that when we accepted the grand opening for the community table earlier this spring. And so this is, again, just making sure that we appropriate it. And I realize that was very quick. Any questions?
Is there any member of the audience who would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I will close public comment. Councilmember Ambrose, you had the first light.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you very much for the presentation. I'd like to go back to slide 6 because I appreciated this, explanation of that. Oh, one more. Yes, this one. That these additional appropriations, like it's not going to cause us to go into any further deficit because we have sources of funding for this. But the previous slides that had the tables that showed us what was being spent on and where the money was coming from, I would have appreciated if we could see how much we're taking out of our reserves versus how much we are getting it from grants or other sources of funding, because I think for the public interest in this, they want to know what is the difference between, my tax dollars going towards this thing and, this is a grant that we got. And it's from the great budget breakdown, it's very detailed, but I think at the end of the day, that's what the public wants to know. So in the future, if we could have that, this is how much is coming from our reserves, this is how much is unplanned and is deficit spending or not what we planned with our budget spending to come up with from the general fund, and this is from grants, refunds, reimbursements, didn't spend as much as we thought we did, so we're reappropriating it there. I think those 3 categories might really help us explain to the public, this is additional funding that is, because of taxpayers, we need to spend more.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely put a table together for that. Thank you for that feedback.
Yeah. And then, the one thing I know that council has said over and over and has come back from the community surveys over and over is roads, of just how much we need to go towards roads. And I know that if we have money coming from all these different sources, they're often tied to things like, we can't take extra money from the solid waste program and put it in roads because that's its own enterprise program, and things like that. But and so I was surprised to see still, though, that with that strong desire from the public and council that we still have only managed to come up with $400,000 extra dollars for the roads program, it seems. Yeah, the streets maintenance fund of the cleanups ordinance is just $400,000. Is there any more money that is going towards roads?
Yes, so
Okay.
if you take a look at that line item, you'll notice our original budget was 13.2 million.
Mhm.
We actually added 2.8 million in April
Okay.
to the roads, and then additional 400,000 between April and December. So overall, we added to 3.2 million to roads. So that moved the original budget from 13.2 to about 16.5.
That's great. And how much of that, I recall at one point, a budget presentation, that we had $11 million of one-time funds that needed to be spent for roads. How much of the additional appropriations went towards bringing that down?
So I think the budget presentation that you're referencing is for 2026.
Okay.
Yeah, and so when we show this for 2026, we will have an original budget again that will be around 13 million, and we'll be adding the number that you made reference to that.
Okay.
So that will jump that up to round numbers 23 million in 2026.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what's in the budget today.
Okay.
So this is for 25. Sorry for the confusion on that one.
Right. I just recall that we have like an 11 million shortfall for those one-time funds, and I'm trying to figure out, how can we get those $11 million?
Sure. Yeah, fair. And you're 100% correct that we're still short in the streets fund. So.
Yeah. Okay. I have a question about, and this is a very minor thing because it's only like $34,000, but the seizure funds funding police equipment, is this a common practice? How much annually do seizure funds typically fund police department purchases?
It depends on the year and how many seizures that we end up with. If you remember now, seizure funds are collected at the state level and then distributed. And so there's some years we could end up with a lot if there's a lot of seizure activity, and there's other years we could end up with nothing.
Okay.
And so this year it happens to be, rough numbers, about 36,000. There's been years it's been as high as $1 million that we've used to buy like our command vehicle. And there's many years that it is zero.
Okay, well, that's great to know because I think the public, doesn't want Arvada seizing things and then buying money, buying itself stuff from things they've seized from Arvadans. It's good that it goes into like a state pot and then comes back out to all law enforcement or municipal agencies. Those are the only questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Griffith.
I have no questions, but I'll make a motion.
I see no additional lights. The motion is yours.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that CB 25-029, an ordinance authorizing an additional appropriation for fiscal year 2025, be approved on final reading numbered 4915 and ordered published by title only.
All votes are cast. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. Next, we have two hearings, but Ms. Morris, would you like me to open them as a single unit and then we vote on them separately?
Correct.
Perfect. So I will open Major Comprehensive Plan Amendment and Rezoning for Candelas Point Block 3, a 4.86 acre parcel of land approximately located at the southwest corner of West 92nd Drive and Wilkerson Court. The first item under that is CP 2025-004, a resolution by the Planning Commission for the City of Arvada, Colorado to amend the 2014 Arvada Comprehensive Plan land use designation pertaining to Candelas Point Block 3 from City of Arvada mixed use to City of Arvada medium density residential, a 4.86 parcel of land located at the southwestern corner of West 92nd Drive and Wilkerson Court. And then the second item is CB 25-030, an ordinance rezoning certain land within the City of Arvada, Candelas Point Block 3 from the City of Arvada PUD, which stands for Planned Unit Development, to City of Arvada R13 Residential 13, and amending the official zoning maps of the City of Arvada, Colorado, a 4.86 acre parcel of land located at the southwest corner of West 92nd Drive and Wilkerson Court, ordinance number 4916. Mr. Smetana, I believe you have this item.
The applicant, as you mentioned, is requesting a comprehensive plan amendment and rezoning for the approximately 4.9 acre property. As you mentioned, the current zoning is planned unit development, and they are requesting to rezone to R13, which allows a maximum of 13 dwelling units per acre. Concurrently, the comprehensive plan amendment is proposed from mixed use to medium-density residential in order to appropriately align the plan with the requested zoning. The applicant is proposing to construct 52 townhomes, which would have the project at a density of approximately 10.7 dwelling units per acre, and that is consistent with the R13 zoning request. If the comprehensive plan amendment and rezoning are approved, a site plan and a minor subdivision application would be reviewed under a separate application in the future. Based upon the project analysis and review of the Land Development Code approval criteria, staff did recommend approval of the comprehensive plan amendment, given that the surrounding area will still maintain a mixed-use character with retail and civic uses in the immediate vicinity. The Planning Commission, during their November 5th meeting, did approve the comprehensive plan amendment and recommended approval of the rezoning. Notice for the hearing was provided through publication in the local paper, mailed notice, and signs posted on the property, and we have received the sign posting log and mailing affidavit, and they are in order. We do have the applicant here for a presentation, as well as several city team members, including Julia Duncan, who coordinated the review of this project.
Thank you very much. Before we get to the applicant, Mr. Griffith, I believe you have a disclosure?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor, very much. Before we get any further into this public hearing, I need to make a disclosure. I am currently employed at a company called Kimley Horn. Kimley Horn is a very large organization employing around 9,000 employees in over 140 offices around the country. Another employee at Kimley Horn has been retained by the applicant to work on this project that we are discussing tonight. I do not currently nor have I ever worked on this project, and so this is in the interest of transparency and disclosure. Kimley Horn also takes measures and steps to ensure that I am screened internally from projects involving permit applications in Arvada. And I will not receive any pecuniary or other benefits from my work done by Kimley Horn or other Kimley Horn employees for this project. As a result, I am confident that I can make a fair and impartial decision in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. I will have the applicant raise your right hand, as well as anyone who wishes to speak on this item. If you could raise your right hand quickly. Do you, just as a group, everybody who's left, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, I see a bunch of nods. You may continue with your presentation, ma'am.
Right. Is that okay? All right. Hello, Eva Mather with Norris Design, 1101 Bannock Street, Denver, Colorado. Good evening, council members. We're so glad for the opportunity to bring you this application this evening, or applications, and just want to say thank you to staff for all of their hard work in getting us here tonight. So we have pretty much our whole team here this evening. Matt Valente with Taylor Morrison is representing the builder. Jeff Nading is representing property ownership. David Kuntz with Martin & Martin is representing the civil engineer, and Jeff Plank with the Kimley Horn, the traffic engineer. So I'm here tonight with Daniel Braswell. We're with Norris Design working on the planning, entitlements, and landscape architecture. So next slide, there's our team. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this is just you all are probably familiar with this area, and just want to talk a little bit about Candelas as a whole and work and just talk about it from moving from west to east. At Highway 93 and 72, there is some retail planned to be at that corner on the north and on the south. And then as we work our way east, you may be familiar with the industrial and the innovation campus there on the south side of Highway 72. Continuing further east, the existing Jefferson County School, Three Creeks K-8. And then there right in the middle, you can see that big area under construction, that's Trailstone. And then just to the east is the Candelas Point. And the blue area in the middle is our site. the 4.9 acre Block 3 within Candelas Point. So moving along, in there's the new Jefferson County School dedication along Candelas. Oh, can you go back up? Thanks. Candelas Parkway. You can see that that's kind of a bigger block there on the east side, just east of Trailstone. And then the recently approved rainwater multifamily, they're just south of that, just north of that reservoir. And most of the retail sites within Candelas have been along Indiana. The King Super with gas, there's a car wash, a dentist, a First Bank, soon to be PNC, I suppose, Les Schwab Tire, and the Freedom Street Social House, the food hall with a variety of local restaurants, and an outdoor patio, and of course the Primrose Daycare. We just want to point these out within the context of the larger Candelas, because Candelas Point and the mixed use and commercial and civic uses within Candelas Point are more central to Candelas, really helping them to bring them into the community and help them to be a true part of the neighborhood. Jeff Nading here tonight has been heavily involved in curating the retail and civic uses that have been integrated into this neighborhood. Next slide. So as we zoom in, and you can kind of see how those have been integrated into this site. So Jeff's partnership processed the Candelas Point subdivision in 2018 as mixed use, commercial and residential, and the infrastructure improvements were completed in 2018 and 2019. And the fire station was completed on Candelas Parkway just a few years ago. You may have seen the library, which will be a great addition and asset to the community as it moves through their approvals. That's on what is known as Block 2. And then within Block 1, the approvals for the first 2 retail buildings along Highway 72 were processed, and construction was completed in 2019. So a couple of years ago, a 3rd retail building was added at the corner, and then the Kitty Academy opened just last year. And that owner came to our neighborhood meeting. She's very supportive, or they. I know that Jeff and the ownership group are very pleased with how the neighborhood commercial development at Candelas Point has turned out. And the Candelas residents asked for restaurants and services, and the ownership group responded. There are 2 additional buildings currently in design, and the 2 remaining lots at Block 1 after completing have completed their pre-application meeting with staff at this time. Lot 1 is a 9,000 square foot office building, and Lot 3 is a 13,000 square foot retail building with additional restaurant opportunities. We're confident that this is meeting the market limits of commercial opportunities internal to the site. So Candelas Point was originally contemplated as mixed use, commercial and residential. So with Block 3 as our remaining opportunity to fulfill the mixed use vision, developing for residential would create the mixed use development originally envisioned for Candelas Point. Just wanted to point out before we get started that in the Planning Commission presentation held on November 5th, we completed our notice, and we did receive, they did vote unanimously 6-0 in favor of approval. So glad to be here tonight with that unanimous approval or vote in favor. So this slide, just want to kind of talk about that mixed use vision. This is just a color overlay to show you the mix of uses. So you can see yellow being residential, the purple being the utility, which is right just to the west, the greenish blue, the public civic uses, and then the green being a water detention use, and then in the red is a commercial use. So it's really just intended to show that By adding residential, that Candelas Point becomes a true mixed-use site in and of itself. It also shows that the site helps to become a good transition of uses between Trailstone to the east and its lower densities over there, and the mix of uses within Candelas Point. Trailstone hovers around 670 units at approximately 3.4 dwelling units per acre, and you'll see in the conceptual plan and a few slides that we're proposing 52 units at 10.7 dwelling units per acre, creating a sensible density transition to the utilities and the commercial property. So moving on to our application requests, want to just point out our existing zoning and the existing comprehensive plan. Candelas was originally proposed as one large PUD, and this whole area was planned for mixed use. And as Candelas has developed over time, the mixed use did not evolve exactly as identified in the PUD. However, it was shown for higher density mix of business, retail, entertainment, and residential district. And in general, across Candelas, this is what has developed here. The actual densities permitted here were 12 to 30 DUs per acre and allowed for mid-rise multifamily, allowing for, on this site, 58 to 146 units. It also allows for a variety of other commercial uses, including buildings up to 180 feet in height. So, but also when the vision for Candelas developed, this was also close to the junction of Jefferson Parkway and Highway 72. So it is natural that as the potential for this highway has diminished, this mixed-use district has become more neighborhood in size, but it still fulfills that mixed-use vision. In addition, over the years, Arvada has updated their codes, and the land development code has changed significantly. We could stick with the PUD, however, we would still generally need to follow our 13 zoning code for setbacks, et cetera. And given those details and working with staff, we opted to rezone to a straight zone, to R13, which is a sensible zoning category as a transition zone. Regarding the existing comprehensive plan, it's identified for mixed use as the existing land use category. And mixed use does allow for a higher density residential, but once we determined that we wanted to rezone to R13, we needed to set forth the clearest path possible, and mixed use does not specifically allow for R13 as a zoning category. In addition, you can see that other parcels within Candelas Point, as they have been developed, have been amended to the appropriate land use as they've been developed over time. Next slide. Let's see. Nope. Back. So our application requests for proposed zoning and proposed comprehensive plan, comprehensive plan amendment. We worked with staff on the request for medium density residential, or R13. The medium density residential juxtaposed between suburban residential, or R6, to the east, and the public, quasi-public for the substation to the west, and the commercial west of that, is a logical transition of land uses in logical planning terms. In addition, rezoning to R13 supports the city's vision for utilizing straight zones, but also the larger vision of creating a vibrant, walkable neighborhood by introducing medium density residential that complements the adjacent retail, supports future amenities such as the library and the existing daycare, and enhances the overall area activation. This proposed rezone is actually lowering the density at 10.7 DUs per acre. R13 allows up to 13 DUs per acre, where 12 to 30 is currently allowed, and 35-foot building heights, where 180 feet is currently allowed. We believe making it more compatible with the existing neighborhood as well. So we'll be able to meet the requirements of R13 at the time of the site plan, and again, it makes that great transition zone. We believe that R13 is the most suitable zoning category for this development, and it was and is supported by staff. As a part of the rezone, a conceptual site plan is part of that application. So to help you understand how this site would develop and how the site plan would evolve, we want to show you where Taylor Morrison is heading with the plan. We worked with staff on the vision for this plan. So this shows you a 52-unit, 2-story, alley-loaded townhome, which is utilized here to help activate the neighborhood and allow for a product that can transition between conflicting uses. Our concept plan has homes fronting on a half-acre park, Wilkerson Court, and towards the approved homes in Trailstone, and on West 92nd Drive towards the approved future library. We were purposeful in locating the passive side of these homes adjacent to the substation. So you can see that what these homes would do is front that park, and front the library, and front Wilkerson Court. So they would be basically integrated into the neighborhood as a part of the rest of the existing Trailstone and other neighborhood and other homes that are a part of that community. There are 2 private road connections into the neighborhood, creating connectivity by lining up with the library and lining up with the Trailstone neighborhood across the street. We've provided a trail connection to the Little Dry Creek Trail, which has become a big part of the Candelas community, and this development fulfills its own open space on site. The parking ratio will meet code requirements with 2 garage spaces in each unit, and this particular plan has 2.3 parking spaces per unit. Regarding buffering from the substation, there is an existing 35-foot landscape buffer on the Excel property, including an open metal fencing and columns, and we're adding another 10 feet to this landscape buffer. In addition, there will be at least another 20 to 24-foot alley, which you can see in the plan. So any home would be approximately 65 to 70 feet from that Excel substation. This site was intentionally laid out to put the buffer on the passive side, and we want the homes to be living and facing the park and the surrounding roads to help create a livable neighborhood and generate pedestrian activity. The property will be a part of the Jefferson Center Metro District number 2, and this development will make a great neighbor with front doors and front facades facing outward to the street to create great architectural edges and help activate the neighborhood. Before we submitted, we met with the neighbors to hear their thoughts on the application, and following was the main discussion. We talked about the impact on the existing infrastructure and the city's ability to serve new residents, but this site is really a part of the larger master plan, the larger Candelas development, where the infrastructure is substantially complete. This development really just needs to step into the existing Wilkerson Court and 92nd Drive. And in addition, improvements on Highway 72 and 93 are underway and nearly complete? Complete? Yeah, okay, so completed in this area. Nearly complete. It's supposed to be complete by year's end. So, and it's almost, the year's almost over. So, safe access to the project from Highway 72 due to fast-moving vehicles was another topic of discussion. Jeff and the Metro District have been working with CDOT for many years to lower speed limits and install traffic signals. But any house on this site will be located at least 100 feet from Highway 72 center line. In our concept plan, the homes are located approximately 80 to 90 feet from the curb. So they'll be well away from the road. We also discussed public school capacity, and as we showed in the beginning, Candelas dedicated a new K-8 school to Jefferson County School District to serve the area's population. So hopefully they will have a new school as soon as bonding permits. Regarding the comprehensive plan and the land use comparison, just a few notes on this. The mixed-use land use designation addresses higher density residential. Mixed use specifically requires a density that is greater than residential zone districts, specifically intended for residential projects that support transit. And R13 is not identified as a permitted zoning district. So why medium density residential? MDR allows for townhomes that meet the housing diversity goals that are compatible with the neighborhood. It's a great transitional land use designation between suburban residential and the quasi-public use to the west, and the density fits right in this category at 10.7 Ds per acre, and R13 is identified as a permitted zoning district. There are 7 criteria, as you all probably know, required to meet the comprehensive plan amendment, and we believe that we meet all 7. In an attempt to keep my presentation more brief, please know that the whole of Candelas Point was identified as mixed use at one point. By adding residential to the variety of uses, this just helps to facilitate more of the mixed use vision. The townhomes help provide diversity of housing to the city of Arvada. In addition, the density is more compatible with the surrounding neighbors that would be required under the mixed use zoning category. The rezoning approval criteria, there are 5 criteria required for rezoning, and we believe that we meet all 5. Again, I will be brief, but this rezone and comprehensive plan amendment is consistent with what has been completed in other areas of Candelas Point. This change is consistent with the vision for an overall mixed-use site identified here at Candelas Point, and the rezone is more consistent with other areas of Candelas, providing a much more compatible use. We believe that we meet all 5. Thank you for your time. I'd like to ask for your vote of support and approval. We're here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we move into questions, is there any member of the public who would like to speak on this item? Mr. Rollick, I do have your sign up. Come on up.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Again, this is from an RVC perspective. RVC always looks at density, traffic environment, and compatibility, and things like that. The pros here are this limits to 13 DU per acre, whereas we found out earlier the PUD could be up to 30 per acre. It limits the heights. The primary structure is down to 35 feet from 180, so that's a net positive as well. 10.7 DU per acre is about 4,000 square foot, so that sounds commensurate with what townhomes should be. Obviously, RVC always looks at density. We would like to see less, but this is a realistic limiting factor. The private drives and any street parking, you know, I know there's a HB 1304 and minimum parking type of thing, so I don't know if there's any street parking available here or if it's all going to be in garage only. Traffic study was done in aggregate with the rest of the construction to the east, because 72nd is going to be pretty impacted. And the proximity in homes to Excel transfer station, they just talked about the buffer and the alleyway, but I want to switch real quick. British Columbia Medical Journal talked about leukemia risks when you're near transfer stations. I understand this is from underground to overhead transfer, right? So that's a good thing for fire safety in general, but this is where it does go to overhead momentarily. And they actually found a 69% increase in leukemia if you're still 196 feet away. So when I was looking at Google Earth, it looks like you can probably get to that 200 meters, 100 or 60 meters, or 196 feet if you kind of reposition that park and maybe get the houses a little further away if that's a possible thing for the site development plan. When we're talking parks, they either have open space or a fee in lieu. If there is going to be any kind of fee, RBC always supports keeping it to the proximate parks as opposed to a general fund. And any kind of trail connections, I was looking, I'm glad you guys showed where Little Dry Creek is, because All Trails shows it from Sheridan and Alkire in the east. And so I don't know if there's a possibility to actually go past the reservoir and connect it to make it a multimodal trail, equestrian. I know the Mountain Bike Association up in Candelas is looking for more trail connections as well. Good news for us too, HB 1313, that does not appear on the TOD maps. This whole area is kind of exempt from that. So again, just thinking about, is there any way to get the houses a little further away from the transfer station for safety and also for fire risk? But overall, this is a net positive, and we really appreciate the limits to the density. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to please come forward? Thank you. Name and address for the public record whenever you're ready.
Patricia Shannon, 6526 Umber Circle in Arvada. I do frequent this area. I do a business with a lot of the retail places there. And as I was looking at this, I thought, this is great. There are 2 exits from this higher density neighborhood. But I heard the comment that there's no direct access onto 72. So both of those exits are going to funnel into the same street, which concerns me in the event of a fire. And I know the Marshall fire is still fresh on our minds. And we had a recent fire very near Layden Rock, and there was a lot of concern about having multiple exits out of a development in the event of a wildfire. And with the high winds we're looking at tomorrow, again, it's really fresh on our minds. Now, the good news is the fire department is directly across the street from this development. So I just would hope that there is consideration of that so that probably 104 cars would have quick access out of that development, not through another neighborhood, but directly out on their own. And is there a community evacuation plan? There should be one considered for this development. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to present a public comment at this time? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion of the hearing, and I will open it to council questions, comments. Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the presentation. I guess I have questions for our staff. One is the Little Dry Creek that runs along 72. How much buffer is, I can't remember, and it's been a while since I've been out there, how much buffer is between that and 72 to provide safety for pedestrians and bicyclists?
There's a 100-foot buffer from the roadway before the housing development is allowed. As far as the creek, I don't believe there's a required or the trail. I don't think there's a required separation.
So it's right on 72 then, is what you're saying?
The existing trail's not. I don't know what the separation is of that trail.
It looks like it's between 8 or 9 feet. It meanders, so it's 8 or 9 feet at the closest point and about 22, 23 feet at the farthest point.
And that's also an existing trail. The connection that was described on the conceptual site plan was a north-south connection from the development to the trail.
Right. So is there also a way then with the West 92nd Drive on the north, what facilities are there for pedestrian and bikes to, if they chose not to go down to 72 and take the Dry Creek, but from this development, if they chose to bike or walk over to the commercial around the Excel plot, is there a bike lane, a sidewalk? What facilities are there to get them from the townhomes over to the commercial property?
There's both. There's an existing detached walk and bike lanes, and then through the site development process tonight before you is the comprehensive plan amendment and the rezoning application. So what was submitted was a conceptual site plan. We would work through the exact, organization of pedestrian connectivity from within that development to existing infrastructure at the site plan submittal.
Great, no, I appreciate that. I just wanted to have a better understanding of what was already existing that this would connect to. So thank you for that explanation. And I guess my other question, comment to staff is around, mixed use designation. We have things designated in our comprehensive plan as mixed use, and I know this is not the first time this has come up for, especially Candelas, where we're changing something from mixed use to something like this as residential. So one, I really appreciate the broader view and explanation that you provided, and also the applicant provided about the other components of this whole property, so to speak, that allows for different elements to be mixed use, even though this particular property that we're discussing tonight is not mixed use. It's going to be solely residential, but it fits into that larger piece of mixed use. So I really appreciate that explanation, and the fact that this will offer some diversity of housing. So that's my comment for right now, and I look forward to seeing the site plan as we move forward to address some of these concerns, whether it's the transportation piece of multimodal, but also I think the concern about how close it is to the transfer station. I want to see more information on that too, and the health and safety component of being next to a transfer station. So thank you.
Councilmember Griffith.
I just turned it off. Thank you, Your Honor. I have a question just in general about the fire department comment that was brought up. I actually hadn't thought about that before. How do we do emergency evacuations plans? Are they by neighborhood, or are they by district? How is that typically done? And at what stage, I guess, would that happen, if at all?
Can I just weigh in on that, council member?
Sure.
Our code does not require an evacuation plan.
Mm-hmm.
So, in lieu of that, and I just want to acknowledge, no one on our team ever feels comfortable with, how do we address these issues, and let's just ignore it. So we're not trying to ignore this issue. We work very closely with the fire district to review this. And I would also just say that fire is incredibly unpredictable, and so there really isn't a process for how you do it that works in every circumstance. It's going to depend on where it's coming from. It's going to depend on what's the intensity. It's going to depend on how much time do we have to react to that. And since I am not a member of our fire protection district, I can't speak too much to it, other than that these are really important issues that we work through. Maybe Rob can give a little bit more detail.
Just to kind of piggyback on that, and one of the comments that was made was access onto Highway 72, and there being maybe only one way out. Actually, this property will access onto 92nd Drive as well as Wilkerson Court. Wilkerson Court does have an intersection with Highway 72, and both Wilkerson and 92nd Drive go to Candelas, so then there would be options to go both ways on Candelas from this development as well. And there is also a road that goes through Trailstone that gets you to the east as well.
Well, you got
so
to
there
my
are actually multiple access points.
I appreciate that, staff. You got to my second question before I could ask it, but the context of the fire question, aside from the public comment that we heard, was more about the process that the Arvada Fire District has when reviewing an application like this. And what sort of recommendations maybe do they make, and do they talk about emergency access, or what sort of things do they look at? I'm asking because I'm curious.
So they are a referral agency, and they receive a review at each stage of the referral process. As the project develops, they'll give comments to meet minimum clearance requirements, minimum width requirements, minimum circulation, backup, hammerheads, whatever they require in order to provide that adequate fire safety, whether that's also additionally sprinkling of the buildings. They have a number of requirements, and they'll review that at each stage to ensure that the project is meeting their requirements. They did also receive a review for this zoning request. Generally speaking, they're not looking at the design of the building at that point in time, but they had no conflict with the comprehensive plan amendment or zoning request.
Is it reasonable to suggest that if the fire district had a concern about emergency access or some type of access in an event, they would bring that up during this review process?
Absolutely. There's no withholding of information or comments when it comes to public safety.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I wanted to understand if they're restricted in sort of the purview of their comments. It sounds like they are not. That's good to hear. And a follow-up, Rob, to the second question that you sniffed out really well. Thank you for that, sir. Curb cuts on a highway are a hard thing to do. I would imagine if we were to add a curb cut on that corridor, it would have to meet certain requirements. I was curious if you could tell me about that.
Yeah, that's correct. And engineering could probably talk to this in more detail if you'd like. But yeah, there are minimum spacing requirements between intersections as well as signals, especially on a major highway as Highway 72. There are access limitations, and the Candelas development is part of the initial development proposal, the overall development plan, established where those locations could be, and those were established, a decade or more ago. And so it would be very difficult to get any additional connections.
I appreciate that clarification. And one final question. I don't know if we do this internally at the city or if we follow federal highway or some other type of standards. The offset for the equipment within a transfer station and the fence that encloses the parcel. Do we regulate that, or is that done by a totally different agency?
Internal to the site, it's a different agency, but we do have buffer requirements that have to be applied when disparate land uses are next to one another. So on the exterior, we have some buffering requirements. What happens interior, that is a different agency.
Okay, thank you for that. That's all my questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Davis.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for the presentation. In terms of an evacuation plan, would that be something that the JCMD would work with the residents, and then with police and fire? Because I do know that they're also working with some of the other neighborhoods that are internal to the JCMD. And would there be an opportunity maybe to somehow fold that all together?
I can talk to that for just a second. The PD and Arvada Fire work very closely with the metro districts or the HOAs to develop evacuation plans. But our public safety teams do look more broadly. It's not just the immediate area that needs to be evacuated, but it's the broader area as well of moving people, vehicles out of the area to get to a zone of safety. So there's several factors that come into play. And instead of just looking at this as like a small neighborhood by neighborhood section, it's looked at more broadly to see how the traffic patterns are impacted as vehicles are evacuating. And earlier in the discussion, there was I think Rob was talking about the fire department doing their review and looking at more than one way out. And as we know, Leiden Rock is challenged somewhat in this way. And so the city team, the fire department, the neighborhoods are all working together to try to find solutions. But that also more broadly impacts, that more regional approach as you try to move people and traffic out of that area. So generally speaking, when you're talking about evacuation, it's not only the micro look at that, but then it's more broad. And fire behaves differently in every situation. And so our public safety teams are trained to be able to have the flexibility to respond to the given situation and make decisions about what needs to be done for evacuation.
Thank you for that. I think it's very important that the public know how that planning works. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Are there additional questions, comments? Otherwise, Councilmember Levison.
I just have a question for staff. If you could just clarify, is this the second instance, as mentioned in the Planning Commission agenda, from mixed use to residential? And just maybe a little bit of background on that potential trend. And then with us shifting to residential and away from that mixed use, just how would that be different in addition maybe to the units per acre?
Absolutely. So this area is part of the Candelas overlay development plan that designated this area as PUD. Under those PUD, there's different areas that were designated for commercial and residential. So this area was always allowed for both residential and commercial. The mixed use designation comes from our comprehensive plan. So that's the land use designation. Under that umbrella designation, you can have different zones. This happened to be a PUD, which again allowed both. The applicant's requesting a straight zone to align that with our policies and goals as a city to go with straight zoning as opposed to these more ambiguous one-off planned unit developments.
Thank you so much.
If there are no additional questions or comments, I welcome council action on CP 2025-0004. Councilmember Davis.
Oh, this is 0004, not
4.
030? Okay.
No. We're going to do 04, and we're going to vote on that one, and then we'll do 030. Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
Thank you. I move CP 25-0004, a resolution by the Planning Commission for the City of Arvada, Colorado, to amend the 2014 Arvada Comprehensive Land Use Plan designation pertaining to Candelas Point Block 3 from City of Arvada Mixed Use to City of Arvada Medium Density Residential, a 4.86 parcel of land located at the southwest corner of West 92nd Drive and Wilkerson Court be approved.
All right. Councilmember Griffith, you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, I do. I just wanted to add a point here that I was thinking as we're going to vote. Seeing as how we're talking about the comprehensive plan, criteria 1 is, I think this satisfies criteria 1. But I think there's the last part of it that says changes since the comprehensive plan was envisioned, and this is the 14 comprehensive plan, which was a different Arvada, I think, that we were thinking for the west side of the city. Sorry. So just in light of that, I just wanted to bring some attention to the fact that we're going to have a new comprehensive planning effort. No one has a crystal ball, but it's interesting to see how things kind of materialized over more than a decade. And then I wanted to express that I appreciate that we're able to adapt to those changes in demand, and we're able to also meet the needs of community members and find things that fit, and I appreciate the efforts from the applicant to do that. And I also wanted to say that I appreciated the presentation. Those are my comments.
You will cast your vote. All votes are cast. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. Councilmember Davis, you have 030.
Thank you. I move that CB 25-030, an ordinance rezoning certain land within the city of Arvada, Candelas Point Block 3, from the City of Arvada PUD, Planned Unit Development, to the City of Arvada R13, Residential 13, and amending the official zoning maps of the City of Arvada, Colorado, a 4.86 acre parcel of land located at the southwest corner of 92nd Drive and Wilkerson Court be approved on final reading, numbered 4916, and ordered published by title only.
Councilmember Griffith, you wish to speak?
Thank you, Your Honor. I wanted to quickly acknowledge and agree with Councilmember Levingson's comments or subject matter of the changes in West Arvada and the changes from commercial or mixed use to residential. As I mentioned earlier, we have a comprehensive planning effort that we're coming up toward. The balancing of those uses are important, and I think protecting the remaining area that we have to develop so that we do have areas that are a mix of uses, so we don't purely have residential in some of those remaining parcels. We do look for opportunities to still have commercial development, mixed use, and retail development. So that's all I had to say. I think that this is a good example of how that flexibility can be implemented, but I wanted to make that comment.
Thank you very much. I will also note thank you to the applicant for coming out tonight and for the excellent presentation. Thank you to the members of our community for coming out and for your research onto the issue. I always love it when we see these, I hate to say this, on the more rare side, projects where they come forward and it works. Like the community seems to be happy with this. They understand that this is a good project. The developer has done the work to match the surrounding neighborhood to make this a project that will seamlessly fit in and meet some of the community needs. So just well done, everybody, and we sincerely appreciate it. With that, that passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. Congratulations, and I will close our public hearings for this evening and open the second public comment for the 5-minute limit. Is there anyone in chambers who would like to speak at this time? Seeing none, I will close the second public comment and turn it over to council for City Council committee reports. Mayor Pro Tem Moorman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a few things. One is I want to take the time to thank our staff here at the end of the year in our last council meeting of 2025. We've had a lot going on this year and a lot of good things, and so I really want to appreciate all the work that you, our teams, and especially our leadership have done to bring forth some great accomplishments in 2025. So thank you for that. And with that also, I want to extend happy holidays to all of our city staff and to the whole city. And I hope folks get a chance to take a nice break and be with family at this time. So encourage and appreciate everyone with that. Another comment is about tomorrow, so I hope everyone is planning to be safe and taking precautions with the high wind advisory and some of the power outages that we may have. So I'm hoping everyone is trying to stay as well informed as possible and to be looking to our city and to our police and fire and other departments. They'll be putting out continual announcements to keep everyone alert and up to speed to those developments. So hopefully everyone stays safe tomorrow. And then my last announcement is that I will be having my coffee chat this Friday on December 19th from 2 to 4 at Sweet Bloom at 77th and Watts. So I encourage everyone to come out for that. So again, happy holidays.
Thank you. Councilmember Ambrose.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, my similar holiday wishes for everybody, and thank you so much for a great year. I would also encourage people to go to visitarvada.org and check out the holiday guide. I just went through that. There is cookie decorating, there is gingerbread houses if you don't have any place to be on New Year's Eve. It has tons of places for you to be. Your last chance to see Santa in Old Town is December 20th. I was really surprised how many different things, how much of your social life you can fill out by going out to visitarvada.org and seeing all the great things. I have folks visiting, and they were like, well, what can we do in your town? And I was like, well, let me show you. I mean, it's a long list, so get out there and visit Arvada. And yes, please use common sense tomorrow with the high wind. Lots of people have really fantastic decorations that are bigger than their houses that will blow away tomorrow. So, be a good neighbor, pick up if your neighbor's decoration blows into your house, trash cans, things like that, and make sure that we are very, very safe when it comes to fire tomorrow. So don't be doing anything that could be causing another Marshall fire with the high wind situation that we have tomorrow. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Griffith.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to call attention to the fact that Councilmember Livingston and I have completed, I believe, our council member training. And I wanted to express sincere gratitude to our city manager, assistant city manager, and our city attorney for spending so much time with us and going through a lot of information and detail, and all of the folks that support them that came in to tell us about all the great work that staff does. Really appreciate that, appreciate the detail, and thank you for training us. I don't know if we get an official certificate for that or not, but exactly, I certainly wouldn't consider that a...
You already got an award tonight.
True.
How many more do you need?
You got me. Thank you very much. Yes. Stop from me. You're good. I'm done.
Councilmember Ambrose, you broke me with that one. Councilmember Davis.
That was your opportunity to use the P word. Anyway, I just wanted to say happy holidays. I'm very grateful for Arvada, and I'm very grateful for all of our staff. Everywhere I go, I feel like I'm being so braggadocious when I talk about everybody, from the folks I see in the parks, our police officers, our leadership staff, our leadership staff, our leadership staff. I probably sound like a broken record to other electeds, but I don't know if they're as lucky as we are. And I just want to show gratitude of just being able to walk in your sphere, because it has been a wonderful year. I can't even believe it's the end of the year. This year went by so quickly. And also, welcome to our 2 new members, but it's also been a joy working with council. Other councils do really, they envy us because we don't write nasty grams on Facebook. We don't go out and do things to vilify one another. So again, I just have a lot of gratitude for that too. And I'm very excited to see everybody in the new year, and I can't wait for our little rest, and then we'll get back to work. So thank you so much.
Councilmember Levison.
Thank you, Mayor. Off of what Councilmember Mormon and Ambrose said, in Old Town, they've got the holiday market this Saturday from 11 to 3, so just some more specifics. Saturdays with Santa are noon to 3, and then breakfast with Santa is going to be 10 to noon. And as everyone mentioned, thank you so much for all you do. Incredibly grateful for the work, and I hope you enjoy your time with family, friends, and hopefully some extra sweets.
All right, with that, I will just echo the comments of all of my colleagues. It's been a fantastic year. I, in particular, want to recognize both Deputy City Manager Linda Haley and City Manager Don Wick for their leadership in particular. Ms. Haley, of course, was acting city manager when we began the year. Mr. Wick won the competitive process for the position, and we're so honored to get to work with both of you and everything that you did for our city this year, as well as our whole team. Ms. Morris, I see you over there. I know your team works incredibly hard. Tonight was a great demonstration of how important our attorneys are. So just thank you for your leadership in that department. Ms. Scheck, we are thrilled that you are with us this year. Ms. Rhodes, congratulations on taking over 2 departments under one. Mr. Archer, another year with fabulous finances, keeping us one of the most highly functioning financial cities in the metro area. Mr. Stevenson, our parks are our treasure. We love them, and we've had some really exciting announcements this year. Thank you for your leadership. Ms. Rush, you keep us on time, you keep us on point. You literally run everything here, so thank you. And everybody else who works for this city, we appreciate you so much. Ms. Sargent, Ms. Black, I see you over there. So thank you so much for everything you guys do. Officers, I see you over there. Alyssa, thank you for all the help with my calendars. It's been a fantastic year. We really appreciate you guys. And so just thank you. Mr. Wick, I turned it to you.
Well, first off, thank you, Council, for your kind comments about the city team. I concur with that. I think we have a great city team here. They've accomplished a great deal throughout this year, and I appreciate the comments about the leadership team, but I'd also like to highlight the fact that, you know, our line staff, our field staff are the folks that are really accomplishing the work, and they do a great job every year. You know, they're out there after hours, during the day, hot, cold, no matter what, and we really appreciate them. And I think a tremendous amount of credit goes to those folks in the organization that really help us get the job done. So thank you very much for everybody's comments about the team. I know they'll appreciate that. I do want to talk a little bit about the wind event and provide some additional information to all of you, as well as those from the public that may be watching. So some of this is very unpredictable, and conditions have been changing over the last couple of days that we have been paying very close attention to, in some cases almost hourly, through our emergency manager. And we expect that tomorrow morning, Xcel Energy is going to be providing a final go, no-go for de-energizing some of the electric lines that could impact Arvada. And so we will be up early and be prepared to listen into that decision so that then we can make some key decisions about what we need to do for the city of Arvada. Just know that our city team has been very aggressively preparing for an event like this. It's not that we started planning this on Monday. Our emergency management team and our leadership team have been preparing for events like this for a long time. We have an emergency management plan, and we start implementing those things as soon as we know that there's likely to be an event of some sort. And it's just that in days leading up to something like this, we concentrate very closely on those activities that we need to prepare and also those activities that we'll need to execute on should an event occur. I would encourage the residents to take a look at the city's website, arvadaco.gov, and on our front page there we have information about the wind event, which includes a lot of links to maps from Xcel and other information that the public could find valuable. So the city is not the power company, and we're at the mercy of the decisions that Xcel Energy makes when it comes to events like this. And they're being proactive in this way to provide for public safety so that the energized lines are not responsible for creating the potential for wildfire. At this point tonight at 8:30, it looks like really the western half of the city is within the zone to be without energy tomorrow. And so again, we will know more tomorrow morning, and we expect that if de-energizing takes place, that will probably occur somewhere around 10 a.m., will last through most of the day into the early evening, and then, and of course, depending on the winds, Xcel then will have an opportunity to re-energize those lines. And I think it's important to know that for Xcel to be able to do that, they have to actually put eyes on every foot of line that's going to be re-energized to make sure that they're not going to energize a line where there's damage. And so a lot of folks don't realize that, once the wind stops, they just don't turn a switch and the power comes back on. This requires an evaluation of the lines in order to make sure that it's actually safe to re-energize. So that's why sometimes it takes several hours. The other point worth noting is that Thursday may or may not experience the kind of damaging winds that we're expecting to start tomorrow morning, but they are expecting those damaging winds again on Friday. So we'll keep the council up to date. We will also make sure that our website is up to date so that our residents have a place to go to find out the latest information. I know Xcel Energy has also been contacting customers in the area, but if for some reason you're not receiving the information from Xcel, you can't go to the city's website to get information. But your city team is prepared to move forward into this event, and we will see what Mother Nature brings to us tomorrow. So thank you very much, and this is our last council meeting, so we'll see you on January 6th. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Morris, anything from you?
Nothing for me, Your Honor.
All right. Happy holidays, everyone. We are adjourned.